A day after we moved into our new apartment, the previous owner called me. She said, "I forgot to turn off the hidden security camera and I accidentally saw what your husband was doing while you were at the grocery store. Come see me immediately, and whatever you do, do not tell him a word." Hello. Let me know in the comments where you're watching from. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button. Enjoy the story. Only 24 hours before that phone call, Maya Sterling was the happiest woman in the city. In the massive living room with 13-foot ceilings, the air smelled of expensive plaster, oak floors, and a faint hint of dust left behind by the movers. The sound of footsteps echoed with that hollow ring found only in old, monumental buildings. The Meridian Commons had stood there since the 1950s, looking like an impenetrable fortress guarding its residents from the chaos of the outside world. Maya stood by the tall window overlooking the inner courtyard, swirling a glass of champagne. The bubbles rose, turning gold in the sunset. She was 41 years old, but at that moment, she felt like a young debutante who had just been invited to the most important ball of her life. Andre came up behind her and wrapped his arms around her shoulders. His hands, strong, confident hands of a contractor used to reshaping space to fit his will, rested heavy and secure. "Well," he said softly, kissing her temple, "we did it. 12 years, Maya. We've been working toward this day for 12 years. Maya closed her eyes and took a sip. The wine tasted sharp. "I still can't believe it," she admitted. "When Elena agreed to sell us this place, I thought it was a mistake. People don't sell apartments like this, Andre. They're passed down as family legacies. Money solves any inheritance issue," Andre chuckled, turning her to face him. "Elena wanted to get out of the city and forget the past. We just helped her do that. Now this is our home, our fortress. No more rented corners, no more sideways glances from neighbors. You own the best boutique in the city. I'm a respected contractor. We earned the right to live at the Meridian." He clinked his glass against hers. The sound was clear and long-lasting. Maya looked at her husband. At 45, he looked even better than he did on their wedding day. The touch of gray at his temples only added to his authority. He was the man who had pulled her out of depression after that terrible tragedy with Lucas, when her brother died, or as the doctors put it, burned out from his lifestyle. It was Andre who handled everything: the funeral, the debts, the sale of her parents' old beach house to cover Lucas's loans. He had been her rock. "To our new life," Maya said, "and may the past stay behind the threshold." They drank it all. In the empty apartment, where the curtains hadn't even been hung yet, it felt like time itself had stopped to give them a clean slate. Andre walked across the room with the air of a man who owned the world, straightening a painting leaning against the wall. "They're bringing the office furniture tomorrow," he noted businesslike. "I'll head to the job site in the morning to check on my crew. You can start unpacking the kitchen boxes." "Of course," Maya nodded. "Just don't be late. I don't want to have our first dinner here alone." Andre flashed that same smile he used to charm clients when signing contracts. "I always come back, Maya. You know that." The morning didn't start with sunlight on her pillow, but with the sharp vibration of her phone on the nightstand. Maya opened her eyes and fumbled for the device. The screen showed the name, Elena Vane. Maya frowned. The deal had closed a week ago. The keys were handed over, the money was wired. What else was there to say to her brother's widow, a woman who had spent the last few years carefully avoiding any contact with her husband's family? Andre was already gone. His side of the bed was cold. Maya sat up, threw on a robe, and answered. "Hello?" "Maya, don't interrupt me and don't ask questions." Elena's voice was dry, like the rustle of dead leaves. There was no panic, no hysteria, just a bone-deep exhaustion. "Are you alone?" "Yes. Andre left for the—" "I don't care where Andre is. Listen carefully. Freedom Park, the bench by the Memorial Plaza, 40 minutes. Come alone. If you say a word to Andre, I'll vanish, and you'll never know what you actually bought." "Elena, what are you talking about? We bought the apartment. The paperwork is with the lawyer." "You bought the walls, Maya. I sold you what was inside. I'm waiting." The line went dead. Maya set the phone down. The chill of the morning floor seeped into her bones. She dressed mechanically, grabbing her bag and rushing out without even a cup of coffee. The park was empty. The memorial flame flickered in the wind. The faint smell of gas mixed with the dampness of the autumn air. Elena sat on the far bench, wrapped in a shapeless gray coat. She looked 10 years older than she had at the cemetery. Maya approached, trying to maintain her composure. She owned a high-end boutique. She was used to keeping a straight face for clients, even when her insides were trembling with dread. "Hello, Elena. What's with the mystery? If you forgot some things in the apartment, you could have just said so." Elena looked up at her. There was so much emptiness in her eyes that Maya felt a chill. The woman didn't even say hello. She reached into her deep bag and pulled out a tablet in a worn case. "Sit," she commanded. Maya sat, careful not to let their coats touch. "I didn't forget things, Maya. I forgot to turn off the surveillance system. Andre thought I was a fool who only knew how to spend Lucas's money. But I always knew he didn't trust me, so I put cameras everywhere, even in the pantry." "Why do I need to know this?" Maya felt a spark of irritation. "You and Andre never liked each other, but spying—" "Look." Elena tapped the screen. The video was black and white, a bit grainy, but the quality was good enough to recognize the place. It was the pantry in their new apartment. The door was currently blocked by boxes. Andre had told her it was just construction debris he'd haul away in a few days. In the top right corner, the timestamp ran. The recording was from this morning, 40 minutes ago, exactly when Andre was supposed to be at his job site. On the screen, the door opened. Andre walked into the narrow, windowless room. He was wearing the same shirt Maya had seen him in that morning. In his hands, he held a plastic tray with food, a bowl of oatmeal, a piece of bread, and a glass of water. Maya's brow furrowed. "What is he doing? It's just trash in there." "Watch," Elena repeated harshly. Andre walked deeper into the narrow room toward a wall that looked solid. He leaned down and placed the tray on the floor. Then he took a step back and crossed his arms. His posture wasn't one of care. It was the stance of a prison guard. From a dark corner near the wall where the light didn't reach, a pile of rags began to move. Maya squinted. The rags rose. It was a man, thin, overgrown with hair, dressed in filthy clothes. He slowly crawled toward the tray. He moved as if every motion caused him pain, or as if he had long forgotten how to walk upright. He grabbed the bread with a trembling hand and began to eat instantly, choking it down without lifting his head. Andre said something to him. There was no sound, but from the movement of her husband's lips, Maya recognized that expression, disgusted, cold, and dominant. He kicked an empty plastic bottle toward the man with the toe of his boot, turned around, and walked out, locking the door tightly behind him. The man on the screen was left alone. He lifted his head and looked directly into the lens of the hidden camera, as if he could feel her gaze. Maya stopped breathing. The world around her, the park, the city noise, the wind, all vanished. There was only the face on the small screen. The eyes. She would have known those eyes in 100 years, deep set with the same curve their father had, the scar over the left eyebrow from when he fell off his bike as a child. "This can't be," Maya whispered. Her voice failed her, turning into a rasp. "We buried him 12 years ago. It was a closed casket. Andre identified the body. The paperwork." She looked at Elena, searching for a grain of pity. Some hint that this was a cruel prank or a deep fake, but Elena looked at her with brutal directness. "A closed casket is convenient, Maya, especially when your husband is a master at solving problems and your brother owes too much money." Maya looked back at the screen. The man in the pantry was finishing the oatmeal, glancing around like a cornered animal. It was Lucas, her brother Lucas, whom she had mourned every Sunday at church, alive in her own apartment behind the wall where she had toasted with champagne just yesterday. "The apartment was never mine," Elena said quietly, leaning in close to Maya's face. "I was never the owner. I was the jailer. Andre bought this place 12 years ago through a shell company and put me here for one reason, to feed a ghost. He paid me a salary to keep Lucas dead to the world but alive for him." Elena shoved the tablet into Maya's numb hands and stood up. "Now you're the owner, Maya. Now it's your shift." She turned and walked quickly toward the park exit, leaving Maya alone with a tablet showing her dead brother licking crumbs off a plastic plate in her new pantry. Maya didn't remember the drive home. The road was a blur of traffic lights and car horns, with a single thought thumping in her head like a pulse. He's there. He's there. He's there. She entered the apartment, trying to breathe steadily. The key turned in the lock with a soft click that now sounded like a trigger being pulled. The hallway was silent, too silent for a house hiding a human being. Andre walked out of the kitchen, wiping his hands on a towel. He was wearing that same shirt. He smiled calmly, openly, the smile of a husband, happy to see his wife. "You're back fast," he said. "I thought you'd get stuck in traffic. Want some coffee? I just brewed a pot." Maya forced herself to smile back. Her face felt like a plaster mask, ready to crack at the slightest movement. "No thanks." Her voice was surprisingly steady. "My head is spinning a bit. Probably the weather. I'm going to lie down for 30 minutes. "Of course, rest up." Andre stepped closer and touched his palm to her forehead. His fingers were warm, the fingers of a jailer. "You're pale. Maybe an aspirin?" "No, just need to lie down." She walked past him into the bedroom, feeling his eyes on her back. She closed the door and leaned against it, counting to 10. She needed time. She needed him to leave. 15 minutes later, Andre's phone rang. Maya strained her ears. "Yes, Mr. Thorne. Yes, I understand it's urgent. I'll be there in 20 minutes. Yes, I'm leaving now." Footsteps in the hall, the jingle of keys, the heavy thud of the front door, the click of the lock. Maya lunged. She flew into the hallway, ran to the window, and carefully pulled back the curtain. Andre's silver SUV was pulling out of the driveway. She waited another minute until the car disappeared around the corner, and only then did she rush to the pantry. The door was locked, a standard interior door, white with a brass handle, but it wouldn't budge. Maya yanked the handle once, twice. Locked. "Lucas," she whispered, pressing her ear to the wood. "Lucas, can you hear me? It's Maya." Silence. Only the hum of the ventilation deep in the walls. She ran to the kitchen, grabbed a thin paring knife, came back, and tried to jimmy the lock. Useless. The mechanism was simple, but solid. Then she remembered the video. Andre hadn't used a key. In the recording, his hands were empty. When he approached the door, he had done something else. Maya closed her eyes, conjuring the image from the tablet. Andre walked up, leaned down. Where? Not to the handle, lower, toward the floor. She dropped to her knees in front of the door. To the right of the frame was a decorative grate covering the radiator, an old cast-iron radiator painted to match the walls. Maya slid her fingers through the pattern of the grate. Dust, cold metal, paint. Nothing. Think, Maya, think. You saw this. She pulled the grate toward her. It gave with a slight creak but didn't come off. She pushed harder, sliding it to the side, and then she saw it. In the wall, right behind the radiator pipe, was a small, barely visible lever. A common slide bolt recessed into the plaster and painted the same color. If you didn't know it was there, you could live in this apartment your whole life and never notice. Maya pushed the lever. There was a dull click inside the door. The mechanism released. She stood up, wiped her sweaty palms on her jeans, and turned the handle. The door opened. A smell hit her, a stale, heavy odor of unwashed skin, old clothes, and cheap tobacco. It was the same brand Lucas used to smoke in college when he was playing the brooding intellectual. That smell was a time machine, instantly transporting her back 12 years. "Lucas?" Maya stepped into the darkness. Her hand fumbled for a switch. A dim bulb flickered on. The room was narrow and long, like a hallway. No windows. Along one wall were shelves piled with junk, old paint cans, rolls of wallpaper. In the far corner lay a mattress covered with a gray wool blanket. Next to it was the tray of half-eaten oatmeal she'd seen on the video. But Lucas wasn't there. "Lucas!" she called out louder, no longer caring if the neighbors heard. Empty. The blanket was rumpled as if someone had just jumped up from it. There were cigarette butts on the floor, but no person. It was a dead end. 4 walls, 1 door. Where could he have gone? Maya frantically searched the tiny space. She looked behind the shelves, threw aside empty boxes. No one. He couldn't have vanished. Then her eyes caught something on the floor near the mattress. A small rectangle of plastic glinted in the dust. Maya leaned down and picked it up. It was a badge, an ID for St. Jude's Medical Center. She recognized it. She had one just like it in her purse. She'd gotten it a week ago for her checkup. She flipped the plastic over. It read, "Patient Sterling Maya." Her name, her last name, her birth date. But the photo wasn't hers. Staring back from the small black and white square was the face of Elena Vane. Her hair was cropped short, and her gaze was wild and unfocused. Maya felt the floor drop out from under her. She looked down at the blood type line. It said AB negative. Maya was B positive. Elena was O positive. AB negative had been Lucas's blood type. It was a twisted mosaic. Her name, Elena's face, Lucas's blood, and the hospital's official stamp dated yesterday. Why would Andre need a fake ID in her name with her dead brother's data and his widow's photo? Maya squeezed the plastic in her fist until the edges bit into her palm. This wasn't just a prison. This was preparation for something far more terrifying. Lucas wasn't just being kept here. Andre was building a new identity, or using Lucas as some kind of donor. In the silence of the apartment, a strange sound suddenly echoed. A dull, rhythmic thud. Not from the hallway, not from the street. The sound was coming from the wall where the mattress lay. Thump, 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 thump. Maya froze. She knew that rhythm. As children, she and Lucas used to knock on the wall like that when their parents sent them to separate rooms as punishment. 2 shorts, 1 long. "I'm here." He wasn't in the room. He was deeper. In the bowels of this cursed building. Maya pressed her ear to the cold plaster. The knocking repeated, muffled, as if from underground. She yanked the mattress aside. Beneath it was a standard wood floor, but one of the boards was slightly wider than the others and held down by new, shiny nails. Maya pried the edge with her paring knife. The blade bent, but the board gave way. It wasn't a board. It was a hatch cover disguised as the floor. The smell of dampness, mold, and rot hit her. Below was the blackness of a service crawl space between the floors. "Lucas!" she whispered into the dark. No answer, only a scuffling sound. Someone was crawling there, in a space barely big enough for a cat. Maya didn't hesitate. She dropped the knife, tucked her knees, and slid into the hole. The walls squeezed her from all sides. It was incredibly narrow. Dust filled her nose. Cobwebs stuck to her face. She crawled on her elbows, scraping her skin, following the sound of heavy breathing ahead. These were the service tunnels of the old building. The guts people told legends about. They said you could cross the whole block through them without ever stepping outside. Now she knew it was true. "Stop!" she cried out, choking on dust. "Lucas, stop! It's me!" Something clanked against a pipe ahead. The light from the pantry barely reached here, but Maya could make out a silhouette. A man was curled in a ball in a niche where the hot water pipes met. He was shaking. Maya crawled closer. Now she saw his face. It was him, but at the same time not him at all. 12 years in the dark had turned a handsome intellectual into an old man. His skin was gray, almost translucent, his eyes wild, his hair a matted mess. He saw her and pressed himself into the wall, covering his head with his hands like a child expecting a blow. "Don't!" he whimpered. The voice was raspy, barely human. "I didn't do anything. I stayed quiet. Don't hit me." "Lucas. It's me, Maya." She reached out, but he flinched, kicking at her. "Go away! You're one of them. You sent him. You said I wasn't needed anymore." Maya froze. The pain from the kick to her shoulder paled in comparison to his words. "What are you talking about? I thought you were dead. We buried you." Lucas suddenly went still. He lowered his hands and looked at her. In his eyes was a mixture of animal terror and disbelief. "Buried me?" he asked. "Yeah. You guys put on a good show. Beautiful. Andre showed me the photos. You in the black veil, crying, very convincing. He said it was your idea. Sister's tired of your debts, Lucas. Sister wants a quiet life. She needs the business, not a junkie brother." Maya felt nausea rising in her throat. "Andre told me you died of an overdose. I paid all your debts, Lucas. We sold the beach house to clear those loans with Apex Credit Solutions." At the mention of Apex, Lucas gave a hysterical giggle. The sound echoed through the tunnel, bouncing off the rusty pipes. "Apex Credit Solutions. Maya, you're so smart. You own a boutique. You sew suits for executives. And you never checked? Not once?" He crawled closer. His breath smelled of decay. "There is no Apex. It was a shell company. The founder was some homeless guy, but the actual owner—" He pointed a filthy finger at the ceiling, toward their apartment. "Your husband. He lent me the money himself through straw men. He pumped me full of loans, knowing I couldn't pay. He dug this hole, Maya, to take everything. The beach house, Dad's business, your share of the inheritance, and me." Maya sat in the dirt, cold sweat running down her back. The puzzle was coming together, a horrific, bloody puzzle. Andre wasn't a savior. He was a spider who had been weaving this web for years. "But why keep you here?" she whispered. "If he took everything, why keep you alive?" Lucas looked at her with a sudden, chilling clarity. The madness receded for a moment, replaced by icy despair. "Because I'm not just a debtor. I'm a witness, and an actor in his main film. He faked my death, Maya, but he didn't just stage it. He filmed it." Lucas pulled a small flash drive from his rags, hanging on a dirty string. 12 years ago in that basement. He brought people. They beat me. Then one of them injected me with something that stopped my breathing. I could hear everything, but I couldn't move. They put me in a bag. Andre filmed the whole thing. Filmed my dead face. Filmed the doctor pronouncing me. And then he showed me that video. Lucas shook, tears carving tracks through the grime on his face. He said, "See, Lucas? You're dead. Officially. If you ever show your face, if you ever try to contact your sister, I'll send this video to the police, not as proof of my guilt, but as proof that you faked your death to run from creditors and the IRS. Fraud, tax evasion. You'll get 10 years, and in prison I'll make sure you never walk out." Maya looked at her brother and realized Andre had created the perfect trap. A dead man can't go to the police. A dead man has no rights. He exists only as long as he's useful to his jailer. "He's blackmailing you with your own death," she whispered. "Not just me." Lucas looked her in the eye. "He said if I escaped, he'd lock you up too as an accomplice. You were the one who identified the body. Your signature is on the police report. You confirmed the lie, Maya. You're part of the crime." At that moment, the front door of the apartment slammed shut above them. Heavy, confident footsteps thudded across the hardwood right over their heads. Andre was back, early. "Quiet," Lucas mouthed, pressing back into the pipe niche. "He hears. He always hears." "Maya, honey? I picked up those eclairs you love. Where are you? You're not in the bedroom." His voice was calm and affectionate, the kind of voice that made Maya's blood turn to ice. He was walking toward the pantry. Maya froze, terrified to even breathe. The dust in her throat made her want to cough, but she bit her lip until it bled. The floorboards creaked right above the hatch. Andre was standing directly over them. "Maya?" His voice was muffled but clear. No alarm yet, just mild confusion. "Strange. The door's open, but no one's here." He took a step, then another. The sound of his footsteps faded as he left the pantry. Maya looked at Lucas. He was hugging his knees, shivering. His eyes pleaded with her. "Go." She nodded, silently promising to return, and crawled back toward the light. Getting out was harder than getting in. Her muscles cramped, and her hands slipped. She hauled herself up into the pantry and immediately closed the hatch, pinning it with the board. The mattress went back. The boxes were moved back to their original positions. She barely had time to brush the dust off her knees and slip into the hallway before Andre appeared from the kitchen. He was holding a box of pastries. "Ah, there you are." He smiled, but his eyes remained cold, scanning her. "I thought you were playing hide and seek. Where were you? I called for you." Maya leaned against the wall, her legs trembling. Her heart was beating so hard she thought it would burst through her ribs. I was in the bathroom. The water was running. I didn't hear you." Andre stepped closer. He looked at her face, then shifted his gaze to her hands. Dirty, dusty, scraped hands. Then to her jeans, stained with white plaster on the knees. His smile changed. It became soft and sympathetic, that tender smile that made her want to scream. "Maya, sweetie." He set the box on the side table and took her wrist, lifting her dirty palms to the light. "Look at you. You're shaking. And this mess. You were looking for the old photos again, weren't you?" "What?" Maya was caught off guard. "No, I dropped my ring behind the dresser. I had to crawl for it." "Shh." He pressed a finger to her lips. "Don't make excuses. I understand. Moving is a huge stress. And this neighborhood, the memories, it probably feels like the past is coming back, doesn't it?" He spoke in a quiet, hypnotic tone, like a psychiatrist with a volatile patient. "I've noticed you haven't been yourself lately, forgetting things, mixing up dates. Like right now, you're talking about your ring, but you're wearing it." Maya looked at her hand. Her wedding ring was indeed on her finger. She had told the first lie that came to mind, and he had caught her. "Andre, I'm not crazy," she snapped, pulling her hand away. "I'm just tired." "Of course you're tired. You're overworked, maybe even a little paranoid from the stress. You need to lie down. I'll call a doctor to give you a sedative." "I don't need a doctor," she shouted, backing away. "I just need to be alone." At that moment, there was a sharp knock at the back door, the one leading to the service stairs. 3 quick raps. Andre frowned. The mask of the caring husband cracked for a second, revealing irritation. "Who is that now?" he muttered. "I'm not expecting anyone. Go to the bedroom, Maya. I'll handle it." But Maya didn't move. She recognized that knock. Only one woman knocked like that. "No, I'll get it," she said, and beating her husband to it, she threw the latch. Elena stood on the threshold. She looked even worse than she had in the park. Her face was gray, her lips bitten raw. In her hands, she clutched a thick accordion folder. "Elena." Andre froze in the doorway of the living room. His voice turned icy. "What are you doing here? We had a deal. The sale is final. You got your money, and you were supposed to disappear." "The money's gone, Andre," Elena said raspy, pushing her way into the hall. She didn't even look at Maya. Her eyes were locked on him. "Your little handout for a ticket to Thailand? It's a joke. I need more, a lot more." "Are you drunk?" Andre stepped toward her, clearly intending to throw her out. "Get out before I call security." "Call them!" Elena shrieked. "Call the police, security, whoever you want. Let everyone know you have a dead man living in your basement." Andre stopped. He shot a quick glance at Maya. His eyes flickered with calculation. "Maya, go to the other room," he ordered harshly. "Elena's having a breakdown. She just wants money for a fix. Don't listen to this nonsense." "Nonsense?" Elena laughed a terrifying, barking laugh. "Maya already knows, Andre. She saw the video. I showed her." Silence fell. A thick, heavy silence, where the only sound was the ticking of the grandfather clock in the living room. Andre slowly turned his head toward his wife. There was no care or warmth left in his eyes, only a cold, predatory void. "You saw it?" he asked quietly. Maya backed against the wall, feeling cornered. "Yes," she breathed. "I saw Lucas. I know what you did. You're a monster, Andre." Andre chuckled. He relaxed, shoving his hands into his pockets as if the situation had ceased to be dangerous and had simply become tedious. "Monster. Such a dramatic word. I'm a businessman, Maya. I solve problems. Your brother was a problem, a massive, expensive problem. I solved it for us, for our family. You kept him in a cage for 12 years. I kept him safe, Andre barked, and it was the first time he had raised his voice. If he had stepped out on the street, the real creditors would have killed him.